What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder. I'm Warren Thompson, and we just got our first full official trailer for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and it was epic. We got so many different Spider-Man variants in this trailer, including a Spider Horse, who is actually the character Widow from the comics. Yes, the Spider Horse is a real character. They are bringing so many variants into this movie, plus making new variants, it looks like. But the big kicker of this trailer is, well, for one, we know the plot of this movie now. We know why all of the other Spider-Man variants are now after Miles Morales. We know that whole plot there. But it all has to do with the multiverse / Spider-Verse and how it's actually kind of falling apart right now, and how this is actually connecting to the Marvel Cinematic Universe as well as other universes. Now, we've talked about this before in a few other videos, and if you're a fan of Spider-Man, be sure to subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on everything happening with the Sony Spider-Man verse and the MCU, and of course the animated Spider-Verse as well. And it does look like they all are kind of about to collide in a pretty big way, which is the big thing that we want to talk about today outside of what is actually happening in this trailer. But of course, this trailer references a lot of things to other different universes, especially when Oscar Isaac's character Spider-Man 2099 says, "And don't even get me started on Doctor Strange and that little nerd back on Earth 199999. So Earth 199999. Now, right away, some people might be kind of confused because in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, our main MCU timeline was referred to as Earth 616. However, many people have fought this, claiming that this isn't really our universe. We aren't really Earth 616. And the person who has most famously fought this is our Miss Marvel, Iman Vellani. In fact, there is a very famous clip of her stating that we are not Earth 616. The main MCU universe with our classic Avengers and everybody is not Earth 616, but is in fact Earth 199999.
I'd like to say that's 616. I don't believe that the MCU is 616. As much as Kevin Feige can make us think that it's 616, it is 199999.
Now, we are unsure of what the future is going to hold, but since we are now in the multiverse saga of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I'm sure at some point in time, the names or identifications of each universe will indeed be addressed. Also, keep in mind that our Mr. Fantastic, our Reed Richards, the smartest man alive, has not yet been introduced into the MCU, at least not in our main MCU universe, whether that's Earth 616 or 199999. I think Reed Richards might be able to tell us. But evidence does point towards our Earth being 199999 because Spider-Man 2099 is referencing the events from Spider-Man No Way Home, where Doctor Strange did his spell with Peter Parker, who was referred to as the nerd here, and essentially broke the multiverse. And that is exactly what Spider-Man 2099 is trying to do in this movie. He's trying to fix the multiverse. Now, recently, it has been looking more and more like the Sony Spider-Man verse is going to indeed cross over a little bit into the MCU, at least with Spider-Man's story and the Spider-Man characters, that is. And basically, the way Sony and Marvel Studios have been playing nice with each other, it's definitely believed that the events of the MCU do affect the events of the Spider-Verse. Unfortunately, not really the other way around though. So to put it simplistically, the events of the MCU affect the Sony Spider-Verse. The events of the Sony Spider-Verse do not affect the MCU. It's one-sided, at least for now, because as we know, Avengers Secret Wars is not that far away. Hopefully, fingers crossed it doesn't get delayed. But we know that other Spider-Man variants are going to be showing up. We know that a lot of variants are going to be showing up. And what's interesting is that the next Into the Spider-Verse film is going to be Beyond the Spider-Verse. And many people are thinking that since the title is Beyond, that maybe Sony's plan is actually to make it live action, meaning live action is going beyond the animation of Into the Spider-Verse. And there have been some theories out there, some of mine included, that this could possibly be how we get our live action Miles Morales into the MCU. We do know that universes are going to start colliding, or incurring as they call it in the MCU, and we don't really know what the end result is going to be. We don't know if everything's just going to go back to normal, or if some remnants of some universes are going to be left in other universes, and perhaps some universes that collided will remain that way. This could be how we get Miles Morales into the MCU, as well as some other characters, possibly like the X-Men. That would certainly explain how we haven't heard of any mutants at all in the MCU so far. So these movies, the Into the Spider-Verse films, could be a lot more important than you think, especially with them referencing the MCU in the trailers. Now, I really love how this trailer starts off because it gives us pretty much classic Spider-Man plots that we haven't seen kind of in a while with Spider-Man films. In the beginning of the trailer, it starts off with Miles Morales narrating, stating that he's Miles Morales and he is the one and only Spider-Man in Brooklyn. They say this because it's kind of foreshadowing the events of this movie, where they're about to show us just a ton of different Spider-Man variants. You can tell a little bit of time has gone by since the events of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Miles Morales is Spider-Man full-time and is dealing with the classic things that typical Spider-Man have to deal with, like not getting his identity revealed, especially to his parents, while also trying to juggle crime fighting and school at the same time. And you can tell that it's very hard for him to do. He's kind of disrespecting his parents here, saying whatever, and you can tell that he instantly regrets it and realizes what he has done. His mother starts freaking out, saying whatever, and his father's just like, wow. But this is a classic Spider-Man struggle, which is why it is so great. Because the reality is he's just simply overwhelmed at this moment. He's trying to be there for his family, but in this moment he's also trying to fight crime. And this further goes into when they're meeting with somebody at his school, a teacher, a principal, whoever, but they're going over his grades, while at the same time he is trying to fight who is going to be the main villain of this film, the Spot. So he's fighting the Spot, and he shows up late to the meeting with his parents. The person says that his grades for physics are good, but his grades for Spanish aren't so good. He got a B, and since he is part Spanish on his mother's side, they start to kind of freak out and make fun of the situation, which is pretty funny. Even his dad says, whoa, okay, are you trying to kill your mother? And his mother is even speaking Spanish to him because, again, he's part Spanish, he knows Spanish, but his mother obviously thinks he should know a lot more than he actually does because he got to be in Spanish. But at the same time, you can see that his spider senses start tingling. That's because the Spot is still out there. So he has to leave. He has to bail on this meeting. And of course, then the counselor, the principal, whoever this is, says, you know he's lying to you. And his parents kind of know that this is true. You can tell they know, and this is probably foreshadowing the fact that they are going to eventually find out that Miles is Spider-Man. It could be tragically. We see his father hanging from a high place. I don't think they'll actually kill his father. I think Miles will probably save him. His uncle died in the first film, Prowler, so I don't really think that they'll do another death in his family. At least I hope not. So then, of course, we get Gwen showing up out of a multi-dimensional portal. This is what we saw in the teaser before, and she brings Miles Morales to the Hub. Basically a neutral point where you can access different universes throughout the Spider-Verse. And Miles learns that there is essentially a spider society, which is basically what he says. It's an elite crew with different Spider-Man variants on it. They show us a few different characters who are on it. Jessica Drew, we can tell that she is pregnant like she is in the comics. We see Spider-Punk, who has really cool animation when he plays his guitar. Also note that Spider-Gwen, her suit is pretty much exactly the same except for her shoes. She is wearing Chuck Taylors, and actually they are given to her by Spider-Punk. So no more ballet shoes for her. She has the Chuck Taylors, which are going to play into the relationship with Miles and Gwen in this movie. Obviously they like each other, and they've already described this movie as a love story between the two of them, but since Miles will see the fact that she's wearing these Chuck Taylors given to her by Spider-Punk, he's gonna get kind of jealous and he's gonna wonder if anything is going on there between them. Then we see Spider-Man India, and this is a cool kind of little Marvel cameo here because this is played by Karen Sony, who is the actor who plays Dopinder in the Deadpool movies, and they did just confirm that he will indeed be returning for Deadpool 3. So we have some actors in this who have played other parts in the MCU or in the Fox universe, like Oscar Isaac is clearly referring to the MCU when he refers to the events of That Nerd and Doctor Strange, and of course he plays Moon Knight in the MCU as well, so it's kind of meta there, and I wonder if they might even make a joke about that. Then they introduce us to Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099. He was in the post-credit scene for the first Into the Spider-Verse film. Gwen tells us that this whole thing was his idea. So he put all of this together, and he is kind of the leader of the lobby. So Gwen takes Miles to go see him, and he asks, what can I do to join this spider team? But Miguel says no, there's no way you're joining this team. This is because of the events from the first Into the Spider-Verse film that affected the multiverse. Basically, the whole event that happened with Kingpin and the tampering of the multiverse made it really hard for Spider-Man 2099, since his main goal right now is to fix the multiverse because it's kind of broken. Then he elaborates on this a little bit more by stating, don't even get me started on Doctor Strange and the Nerd Kid from Earth 1999-99. This is because they of course broke the multiverse as well. In Spider-Man 2099, his main goal is to fix it. So anytime somebody tampers with the multiverse, this directly affects him and what he is trying to do. And this is where it actually gets pretty interesting, because clearly the events of Spider-Man No Way Home have directly affected what is happening in Across the Spider-Verse and what Miguel O'Hara is trying to do to fix the multiverse. So if the events of No Way Home affect the events of Across the Spider-Verse, we can assume that the events of movies like the Kang Dynasty and what Kang is doing and Secret Wars are also going to affect the multiverse in Across the Spider-Verse and then in Beyond the Spider-Verse as well. Because like I said, it does really seem like the line between Sony's Spider-Verse and the MCU is kind of starting to dissolve a little bit. And the multiverse kind of accident that happened in No Way Home affected both the MCU and now we find out the Spider-Verse as well. So if events in the MCU are affecting the Spider-Verse, it's only logical to think that other multiversal events in the MCU will continue to affect the Spider-Verse. So basically anything that Kang is doing to mess up the multiverse, at least one variant of Kang that is, we assume this will affect the Spider-Verse, and this will tie into the events of Secret Wars because we know that many different variants of many different characters are going to show up to try and fight Kang. Well, if the Spider-Verse is being affected by Kang, we can assume that they'll want to join the fight, and hopefully this leads to live action Spider-Man 2099, Miles Morales, maybe Spider-Punk, and other awesome variants as well. Hopefully Spider-Gwen, fingers crossed. So I do think Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars are going to affect what is happening in the universe and universes that take place in these Into the Spider-Verse films. Now back when Miles and Spider-Gwen are meeting with Miguel O'Hara, we see Peter B. Parker from the first film show up, and he now has a baby, Mayday Parker. At the end of Into the Spider-Verse, he went back and met with Mary Jane, and this is their baby. And she is web slinging around, which is really awesome, and you can see that he made her a little web slinger that is also kind of like a baby toy. Super cool, super creative. Love that they're including this, and you can even see later on down the road in the trailer, Peter B. Parker is chasing after Miles Morales, and you can see that he has Mayday Parker on him. And it looks like she even has a little Spider-Man beanie on her or a Spider-Man suit that's been knitted for her. Now, ultimately, it looks like Miguel O'Hara somehow shows Miles Morales some choices that he is going to have to make as Spider-Man, like making the decision of letting a family member die to save a lot more people. And he doesn't think that he can make this decision. And throughout the trailer, he tries to argue with Miguel, stating that why can't he do both? Why can't he save his family members and also save other people? And they refer to Uncle Ben, stating that if Uncle Ben had been saved, they would have never become Spider-Man. So some things are simply necessary, but we see Miles argue, I can be different. I don't have to be like everybody else. I can do it my own way. And obviously this does not sit well with Spider-Man 2099, and he says that he can't let him leave. Now, another reason why he can't let him leave is because the Spot was in his universe. And the Spot, the main villain, is another being affecting the multiverse, which Spider-Man 2099 is trying to fix. So since Miles doesn't really understand the sacrifices that he has to make, he's only going to get in his way. So he doesn't want him going back to his own universe to try and fight the Spot, because Spider-Man 2099 wants to take care of it himself. But of course, Miles runs away because he wants to do things himself and he doesn't want his family members to die. Unfortunately, this pisses off Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099, and like I said, he is the leader of the lobby and the Spider Society, so he pretty much puts a hit on Miles Morales, telling literally every single Spider-Man variant that is in the lobby to stop him. Miles Morales is pretty much John Wick, and they have marked him excommunicado, and everyone is out to get him now. But I love how we get the classic Spider-Man pointing meme, but we get it basically times like 1,000, with every Spider-Man variant pointing to each other. Overall, this movie looks like it is going to be pretty fantastic, and I do like the fact that it does seem to be connecting to events that are happening in the MCU. I think fans are really going to like it if that happens. It's clearly evident already that events from the MCU do affect the Spider-Verse. But that's our breakdown and theory. If you have any theories of your own, be sure to leave them in the comments down below. Again, please like the video and don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest Spider-Man news. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter as well. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.